Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro. 1, 2, 3.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a very strange Thursday. It feels like we're in the twilight zone here. Major League Soccer, ATP Tennis, the NHL, the NBA, college basketball, done, at least for now. These are strange times. We'll never see this again in my lifetime. I certainly don't think so. And what does this mean for food? What does this mean for restaurants? You know, every week we have Darcy Spears from 13 Action News on in her Dirty Dining segment, and we're going to ask her about some of those restaurants she's visited in the last week. But Darcy, as we bring you on the air, I guess the first question that I have to ask you is, what do you make of what is going on? What is the 13 Action News building like right now? I would imagine it's a little bit of chaos.
I feel like I'm surrounded by virus reaction, to be quite honest with you. It's just nonstop chatter as we filter all of the information that's coming in on what seems like a minute-by-minute basis. It is a bit overwhelming, and we're doing our best to keep people informed, but it kind of makes me want to go crawl under a rock. Also, I feel like there's so many decisions being made based on panic and fear. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if all these cancellations are truly and actually necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point you make. I think you would also agree, though, that it's probably better to be on the safe side than to say, well, I told you so, especially in a situation like this. We can live without sports
Brian,
for a little while.
It comes down to just liability. There's a lot of insurance liabilities out there that people are worried about. But I agree, Darcy. I'm hoping that this virus slows down over the next 7 to 14 days, and maybe some of these cancellations can be, put back on.
Yeah.
I hope maybe that could possibly happen, but I'm not holding my breath.
So, Darcy, I was a news reporter for 10 years. I have a news background, and you sitting there obviously at Channel 13 right now. I mean, how many reporters do you have working there today? Like you said, it's got to be a little bit of chaos and reaction. What is it like being in a newsroom in Las Vegas today on a day like today that we will probably remember for the rest of our lives?
It's we're sitting here shaking our heads, I think, just like many other people are, just like wondering, when does this top out? How do we make sure that we continue to present this to people in as factual a way as possible, to downplay the fear of the unknown while keeping people informed.
Right.
Certainly just about every reporter that we have is working on some angle of coronavirus, because we never have enough staff. There are never enough reporters to do all of the stories on a regular basis, never mind coronavirus. So we have to put everybody on this and try to cover it from all angles. I know one of the things we're going to try to do today is, why is this such a big deal?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I have to ask you this, though, because last night I didn't want to leave my apartment. I ordered some food, and I ordered through Postmates, and I ordered it from one of those Chinese restaurants, and I was hoping it wasn't one of those restaurants that you covered. But, I mean, should I be worried, because we never know who's handling our food. We never know, where the food is coming from, so on and so forth. What advice would you give to people like myself and those that are probably going to be ordering a lot of food and food delivery that don't want to leave their place today?
I mean, yeah, you're always kind of throwing caution to the wind, when you go out to eat all the time, which is why we have the health inspection process and people there to make sure that best practices are taking place in a commercial kitchen. When you're getting your food delivered, there's another person handling your food in between the restaurant and the employees and staff there,
right,
the chefs in the kitchen, and yourself. So, I mean, yes, it should all be in packaging, and they shouldn't be touching your food, but that's just a whole other thing. If everyone's practicing proper hand washing, then we're all doing truly the best thing that we can to protect ourselves and to protect others. But that is something to keep in mind, is that when you're using these delivery services, there's another person in the mix.
So we've discussed this ad nauseum with experts from all over the coronavirus, obviously, and I've been asking you about it for about 4 weeks now. What I didn't ask anybody was, how long, or have you heard of any situations where someone with the coronavirus touches a package of food? Because I did read that coronavirus can stay on plastic for quite a long time. But have you heard of anyone or touching food and the food getting contaminated and for how long that that actual coronavirus would stay, or that particular virus would stay on that package of food?
I have heard that the virus can live on surfaces for up to 9 days. What all those surfaces are, I couldn't begin to say, but it can. That is something that I have read. I will also tell you that from all the updates we're getting from the health district, so far the only way that they are saying that people are coming down with this is from, close person-to-person contact with someone who's got it.
Gotcha. That definitely makes sense.
Well,
okay.
That's huge.
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, it's Darcy Spears, 13 Action News, Dirty Dining segment. So let's get to some of that dirty dining, Darcy. My understanding is you went to a Broadway Pizzeria, which is located at Rancho near Charleston. What did you find there?
Well, we found a couple of very colorful characters in the owners of Broadway Pizzeria, Anthony Rossi and Mario Perdici. These guys kind of hit it head on as far as answering our questions, making themselves available. I mean, one of the first things that came out of Anthony's mouth was, everybody's right to be concerned about who's making your food. This is why we're talking to you. We're not running away from this. So that was really refreshing that they took the time to go through every violation that we wanted to ask them about, give a concise and clear explanation from their perspective on how something happened and why it happened and what the details were. And, at least reassure people that, we get this, and it's okay to be concerned. So that was wonderful, and I really have to commend the two restaurant owners for their reaction to us being there. Hand washing, of course, came up in both of the inspections that we had on our air last night. One at Broadway Pizzeria was that inspectors saw a food handler touching customers' cooked pizza with bare hands multiple times. Now, when you touch something raw with your bare hands, it's going to get cooked, so it's a little bit less of a deal. You're supposed to wear gloves when you're touching customers' food. If it's cooked and it's ready to serve, you're supposed to have gloves on. You're not supposed to touch a customer's food with your bare hands. So they said that there was someone trying to kind of keep the pizza on the plate with their thumb while they were cutting it, and that was all that happened. But I'm like, okay, but you're supposed to wear gloves. It's part of the health code. It always has been when you're touching ready-to-eat food. And they said, yeah, but the gloves are loose, and we don't want anybody to cut a piece of the glove off into the pizza. So apparently they're working with the health district to try to find a good glove that will fit the bill. Why, after 23 years in business, this is still a thing, I don't know, but that was the explanation that they gave.
Well, I am glad, though, that they treated you guys with respect and they did answer your questions to the best of their ability. That's nice to hear because I know that doesn't always happen when you walk into these places. Let's move on. A food truck apparently was shut down near Washington and Nellis back on February 24th. What can you tell us about this?
This truck, Mariscos El Bigoton, nobody called me back on that one. So the opposite experience from what happened with the guys at Broadway Pizzeria. They just didn't even answer my phone call or return a message. So that'll tell you something about the way that truck is run. In any case, there was no hot water on this food truck, and this is a truck that serves seafood, raw oysters, octopus, shrimp, all kinds of seafood. No hot water. Employees could not properly wash their hands. They had just a little trickle of water coming out of the hand sink, regardless of the temperature. And then they also had 32 demerits, which is a lot of demerits on top of an imminent health hazard closure. So that truck was shut down. No one on the truck had a food handler card. No one. So who knows what kind of training they got, or if they've gotten any since. I'm guessing they did because they were able to reopen the next day with 0 demerit A grade. So they must have shown the health district something, and someone had a food handler card, and they got the water fixed, and they're back at it again. They just don't want to talk about it, apparently.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, this is strange times we're living in, and it's not a normal dirty dining segment with Darcy Spears.
The strangest times.
It is strange. So Darcy, before we let you go, this is what you do for a living. What advice would you give people? Do you think it's fair for people to be scared to go to any restaurant for that matter, and to be out these days? What advice would you tell people? Should they just live their normal lives, go to restaurants and have fun, just wash your hands a lot? Or Darcy, what would you say? I mean, should people just stay home and go to the supermarket and pack up? What advice would you give people when it comes to eating these days?
I go with the live your life. Don't hide. Don't become a hermit. Don't make decisions based on fear of the unknown. there's really not a whole lot that's different right now. That, you can get sick from food poisoning no matter when, no matter what. If the restaurants are making sure that they don't have sick people in the kitchen, which they're not supposed to have ever anyway,
right?
And they're exercising proper hand washing, I think everybody's kind of in a heightened awareness state about what needs to happen. So I honestly think that it's wrong to put lives on hold. I'm still going out to eat with my family. Look for the grade card. Make sure that they have an A, just like you would at any other time. Don't crawl under a rock. If we all practice good basic hygiene and go about our lives, then this too shall pass.
Darcy, has the health district had any rules come down for sanitization because of the fact that the virus can stay on surfaces for an extended period of time to clean the restaurants more frequently?
I haven't seen any specific advice, and I've been looking because at the end of every health inspection report, there's always an information sheet, and sometimes they change the information that they send out to the restaurants, and it hasn't changed. It's still just really basic stuff. So they're not asking for an increased, infection control protocol or cleaning protocol because the health code already requires that they are very diligent and very strict about keeping things clean.
Well, Darcy, your job now is more important than ever, so we really appreciate your expertise on this. Can you give out that information? How can people find you on social media and, of course, on Channel 13?
Look for Dirty Dining every Wednesday night on 13 Action News live at 11. I know we're past that as we speak right now, so since probably a lot of people will be home tonight at 6:30, turn on the news and tune into Channel 13, and at 6:30 p.m. you'll get a re-airing of last night's Dirty Dining, as we do every Thursday at 6:30. And, of course, it's online all the time at KTNV.com, on our station's Facebook page, on my Facebook page, Darcy Spears. I tweet out a link to it at DSPINV13. You can find it there as well. And then, of course, on our OTT channels and on YouTube. I mean, where you want me, I'm there.
Darcy, we always want you here on the Vegas Take. We always appreciate it when you join us every week. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Look forward to catching up with you next week, okay?
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go.
Thanks a lot, Darcy.
Darcy Spears, 13 Action News, her Dirty Dining segment, more important now than ever.
So, some more news for you. Duke men's basketball, not just men's basketball, but the entire Duke athletic program has now suspended all activities. And if you think that the NCAA tournament is going to happen without Duke basketball, you are incorrect. My odds on the NCAA tournament happening right now are about plus 2,000 yes, minus 4,000 no.
Yeah, and it certainly does not.
In addition to that, I just got information from someone who works here at Beasley, and Disney has canceled all of their advertising with everybody. And I guess they do some advertising here with Beasley, but someone I'm close with here at Beasley told me that Disney has now pulled all of their ads for their advertising. So now the economy is starting to be affected.
Well, our producer, Jason Stein, is not really worried about that. He came up to me during break, and he was worried and concerned about the strip clubs if they were going to shut down. So I told him, relax, everything's going to be just fine. So he's very concerned about that. Actually, all seriousness, that's probably a place that you'd want to close for the next few days at least. A lot of germs passing through. How about the bunny ranches? How about those in Pahrump? You want to talk about germs? My goodness. All right, we're going to take a break. Listen, this has been a very serious show for at least the first 2.5 hours or so. We got to have a little bit of fun, right? We got to have a little bit of fun in times when people need a little bit of a laugh, right? Well, Sarah Palin has come up. Sarah Palin, the Masked Singer, you're not going to believe how horrible she sounds when she sings. We have the audio to prove it. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Palin, her voice you will hear, it doesn't sound very good. We'll play that for you next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.